Remind me if I don't say it, periodically say if you're watching on YouTube,
Okay.
come over to playback. We can come on the show.
Yes, sir. By the way, we have a fair amount of people on YouTube as well as playback too, right? I think we had like
Yeah, it's usually 3-1.
pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. I don't really care where people watch us, but like the main thing I want people to know is if you want to participate in the show, be on playback,
Yeah,
type in the
right.
chat, you'll show up on stream. Request to come on the stream, we'll bring you up. Interact with us on playback. If you just want to watch us, you just want to throw us on the TV, eat your dinner, play with your kid, not really looking to be engaged, you can do it on YouTube. We don't care. We appreciate. And you know what? If you want to listen to Light Years day after Apple Pod on your compute, that's cool too. We're trying to put it in every place possible so people can consume it the way they want to. That's ultimately my goal. Like you're not going to make everyone be like, you can only go here. We're just trying to.
I think live join us on playback. Join us on playback. Get in on it. Get in on the comments. If you're rewatching YouTube and then Apple Pod, Spotify, whatever, if you're listening to go. So we need an AM radio. Are we on AM? We're not on AM. We're missing out on AM. Yeah, that's the one thing.
But guys, remember, even if you don't watch us on the platform, subscribe. Subscribe on all platforms. So click the subscribe on YouTube. Click to join our playback room. Click sub on Apple. Click sub on Spotify. Andy and I will start a MailChimp list. Sub there too. Just hit the subscribe button on every platform. Man, it's kind of weird with the draft tonight and a different vibe, but I'm also energized. So should we get into it?
I'm ready.
I think we should get into it. So I'll start us off. You guys already know. The live intro. For those of you who watch Light Years on the regular, this isn't your first rodeo. Presented by Prize Picks. $100 match on your first deposit with the promo code Light Years. I was actually, I don't know if I texted with you that much about it, but like, look, everyone knows I'm a draft guy. I get into it. I talk myself into players. I think I bat above average on predicting players. That does not mean I hit 100%. I'm feeling good about my pods pick last year.
Yeah.
Definitely like overplaying that hand and telling people I know what I'm talking about because that hit. But it's weird, not just because the Warriors don't have a pick this year, but one of the more uninteresting drafts of the last 25 years. Like,
whoa, 25?
It's not a yeah, dude. It's like it's players who you either saw in college or like, okay, or you just didn't see much of. Like it's an all over the place draft. So like I couldn't even fake getting into it.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk myself into it in any capacity.
I take your word for it. I'm not a draft guy. The only year that I was in on the draft was 2020 because we had to. And Deni Avdija was my number one pick, which not great, not bad.
Traded today.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But so you're not an Alex Sarr Richase fan. You're not a Reed Shepherd guy. I think 15 Frenchmen were drafted in the first round. So that none of that moved you today, Samuel. No draft takes today outside of that.
I mean, this is the ultimate. This is my superficial, like 30-second take. This is the ultimate coin flip draft.
All right.
Alex Sarr could be a player, could also be Wiseman, could Reed Shepherd. I would not be surprised if he was like a Kyle Lowry type of player where you're like, that's just a winning, good player. I would also not be surprised if he was a backup point guard for 10 years and everyone's like, you took TJ McConnell 3rd overall. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have,
TJ McConnell, not bad player.
Klingon, he's gonna be a fine pro, but would it really shock you if he was just kind of a 20-minute per game rim protector who had low upside? I don't know. I'm just saying,
Plumlee type, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not the most exciting draft on earth. And yet with that, I would say pretty exciting time to be a Warriors fan.
Yes.
We'll see where this goes, but pretty exciting time. We got some good rumors and a couple deals already. Last night, Mikal Bridges gets traded. Today, Deni Avdija gets traded. And I just kind of want your take. Like, look,
Yes.
Mikal Bridges got traded for 4 or 5. We'll call it 4.5 first round picks. Deni Avdija gets traded for Malcolm Brogdon and 2 firsts.
2. Wow.
What's your take on how trade market's going?
Yeah, it's I like it because to me, I think it's good for the NBA that teams feel like they can win the championship, or at the very least they can make it deep into the playoffs. So everyone's going for it. I think in baseball, you kind of have the opposite, even though everyone's technically in the race. There's a lot of teams in baseball that don't go for it. The Giants were ironically one of the only teams that went for it this offseason, which was really cool. Though we don't talk about the current on-field product. I think with the NBA, I think it's really cool that all these teams feel like they can actually do make it far, right? Like I think OKC and Houston are kind of examples of that. And I think the Knicks are the peak example. So kind of getting to Mikal Bridges, I think they just like him. Like they think that Mikal Bridges is the missing piece. We can argue how great is he defensively, how good is he actually going to be offensively with that team, because they really don't have another scorer. But Sam, I think it's good for the league that teams go all in and they just don't give a shit. Now, to flip it to the Warriors, when was the last time we felt like the Warriors were completely all in and saying, we're just going to overpay for someone, right? We're just going to throw everything at it because we just like that guy. So that's the part where I'm a little scared is, well, if they're given 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, how much better is he than Wiggins on his best day? Wiggins' best day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Wiggins' best day is such a lie. It's like
I know, but I'm just
at one time.
But I'm just saying, right? Because like the Warriors, they wouldn't do that trade. I guess what I'm trying to say is they wouldn't do that trade. The Warriors would never do that trade.
Well,
right.
So I kind of have the same take as you in the sense of I'm intrigued by how much it's taking, but from a different lens than you. What I'm noticing is draft picks are the new, like, look, all sports are moving towards kind of the baseball model of assets and being ultra, controlled and trying to run it like a Fortune 500 company and all that sort of stuff. That's not new. That's been going on for a long time, right? Like that's something new. What I've noticed is these teams are using picks almost the same way baseball teams use prospects. A pick could be anything. Could even be LeBron James. Could even be, could be Wembanyama, that sort of thing, right? Until it's picked. Then once it's picked and you watch that guy play in the NBA, then he's a real person. Then you're like, yeah, I don't know about that guy. I don't know about him. Maybe in 3 years, but that pick, I get to choose that pick. If I make that pick, I'm going to pick the best player ever because I'm smarter than you. And so what's interesting to me is the Knicks accumulated so many picks that they could just throw 5 out there. And it doesn't really hurt their future because they still have as many picks as the Warriors over the next 6 years as the Warriors do. They literally just were able to throw all that stuff around because they got ahead of it. And it just makes me kind of think about, like, we're sitting here being like, can we get Paul George for Kuminga? Oh, we can't throw in an extra. We can't throw in an extra pick.
No.
And it's just you like to compare them to the Giants, but it reminds me of the Giants in the standpoint of the Giants don't really have that much going on their farm. And then there's these other teams where it's just endless prospects. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they can replace them, because they're good at figuring it out, because they're always keeping it going. And that's a part of it where I'm like, fuck, man, that's what makes it hard for the Warriors, because they wasted so many picks. Like Patrick Baldwin, it's a wasted pick. Moses Moody, kind of a wasted pick. James Wiseman, the mother of wasted pick. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't trade them for future picks so they could sit here and go like, oh, we haven't made our choices, but we have like all these picks at 2026 and 2027 that we could trade. That's kind of where I'm sitting here and I'm going, man, kind of rough for the Warriors because they don't have this like stockpile of assets the way other teams do.
The playback chat, by the way, join us live on playback because it's killing me right now. It's saying that Hayden Bird song. Don't.
He might be the one. He might be the one.
He might be the one. Gave up 3 runs in 4 innings tonight. He might be. Hey, throws 98 miles per hour. Back to your point. I agree. Which is funny because it's not like the Warriors don't have picks. The Warriors have a lot. They can trade a lot of stuff moving forward. They just don't want to. Now, how about this? Because I think you're. Yeah, go ahead.
But the only thing I'll push back on that is if they don't have extra picks.
They don't have
because if they trade their picks, then if Steph retires, they have nothing.
Right.
Zero. Zilch. Just a wasted season upon season. Whereas the Knicks, they traded a bunch of stuff, but they still have all these picks. So
yes. I would say the Warriors are in a different stage. They've never been a cash in our picks type of guy, a team either, right? I think with Kevin Durant, let's go through the big stuff that's happened in our lifetime that have worked out. So Andre Iguodala, right? That move was more of a, hey, let's how can we get Biedrins off stuff? So we actually used picks, not we, like Bob Myers at the time, used picks to get off that contract, and then Andre signed. Kevin Durant, that was not a pick. That wasn't a trade. It was just Kevin Durant signed because of the cap increase. D'Lo, that was a trade, but that was because you wanted to keep the slot. And then Andrew Wiggins, which was more of a, hey, you give us a pick because Andrew Wiggins is so bad and that contract is so bad. And then they turn him into a player, right? So it is interesting because the Warriors have never been a team that said, we're going to go and get you 3 unprotected first-round picks and a pick swap. Honestly, forget 3. 1 unprotected pick and a first-round swap or something like that just to get a player. They've never been that team. Maybe that's the fascinating part to me is like not even that they don't have picks to trade that they've accumulated. They just don't trade any picks. Now I'm kind of asking, like, now I'm wondering, like, why? Because they've never been that type of team.
They never sell high because to get picks, you have to sell high.
Right.
And then you have to sit patiently. Like OKC did waste a year accumulating stuff. And, you know, it's okay because they were going nowhere. The Warriors haven't been able to waste a year because they've had Steph. And you can't just like be like, all right, we're going to trade everything. Steph, enjoy a 28-win team. As
the year wasted was 2020, right? To your point, the year wasted was 2020, which gave them.
And so that's where it comes back to, if you're going to use the pick, you have to be realistic with if it'll hit, because the minute the guy gets picked, he either goes up or he goes down asset wise. You know what I'm saying? Like if he plays like Pods is more valuable than the 19th pick was last year.
Yes.
Because he's proven he's better than the player you can get there. But Moses Moody, less. Kuminga, less. Wiseman, less. And it doesn't mean they're bad players. I'm just saying the league has watched Steve Kerr not play them. The league has watched them, you know, look like young players who go up and down. They're less exciting than the unknown allure of Cooper Flagg next year. Cooper Flagg, based upon the draft things I'm reading, I mean, he's like, you know, he might be the next coming of Jesus, right? Like he might be the best. Right. He might be the best thing of all time, but because you haven't seen him struggle in the NBA yet, and it's always easier to sell potential than not.
I mean, it feels like the Warriors are also not the most, hey, we're gonna be creative with the type of moves that we're gonna make. Like they don't get cute, right? Which in terms of like trading and stuff, I guess you could argue they get cute in terms of why are they drafting players.
Yeah,
but they don't
in the complete opposite way.
They're definitely different type of cute. But they don't do the, hey, we're gonna flip this pick into the future. I think, what were you texting me about today? There was a trade that I missed. The
Spurs.
That's a cute pick, right? What is that? What was that? What happened?
That is the perfect example of what the Warriors never did. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. But the Spurs traded the number 9 pick this draft. They already took someone at number 6. Okay. So they had 2 picks in the top 10. They traded the number 9 to Minnesota for 2 first-round picks in the future. And I'm sitting here and I'm going like, what do they 2030? They don't have any players on their roster right now. But the way I'm looking at it is, all right, they took someone at 6 that they liked. They're probably sitting here going, look, if we take someone here, probably not going to play him. If he plays, he probably saw like we don't really like anyone here. And so they're like, let's just get these picks into the future and let's roll it over. And that's significantly easier to do when you have no expectations next year.
Yep. My push on that would be, the Spurs are a stable front office, and they've got you've got Wemby, who is going to give them years. It's going to give them a kind of a pillow to contend, so they can kind of be patient. But I think to your point too is the chat's bringing this up. I mean, it's a certain level of asset management. I think that helps the team strategically. I think the Warriors have always been, hey, if we have this, we're just going to use this because we really like this. Versus, it feels like they do things at they minimize the level of risk in their mind, right? Because they're saying, well, this number 2 pick, they convinced themselves we really like this guy, or this number 7 pick, we really, really like this guy. Let's just use it now instead of pushing it out in the future and saying, okay, now you have 2 first-round picks and you can leverage that. Like, what if the Warriors, and now we're playing the guessing game, but I think to your point, if they had traded the number 2 pick down and got a future first, if they had traded the number 7 pick down or out, got a future first or 2, now they have 2 future firsts in their war chest. So when they go to the Clippers and say, all right, we're going to get Paul George, let's go use those. That's your point, though, right?
Now you got that's 100%. So that's you brought it home to a topic I wanted to hit on, which is some exciting Warrior rumors right now.
Oh, I'm so happy. They are sniffing around big deals. If Paul George is willing to leave, they would like to be an option for him. But any of these places that Paul...
All right, I'm not going to play the full clip, but everyone saw it across all their socials. I'm not breaking news to you if you're listening to this podcast. Windhorse said it. Monty Poole said it. Slater said it in the spot. We have a lot of people who talked about it. They're actively attempting to get Paul George. I'm
come on,
silently optimistic on this one, if I'm going to be honest about it. But I'm sitting here and I'm going, there's a lot of variables here, and this is where having those extra picks would be useful. And we don't know if it's going to matter or not in general, but that's kind of where the whole conversation came out of. So let me take this back a step for you. Okay. Paul George, a week ago, does it surprise you that the Warriors are this engaged? And does it surprise you the noise is this public about the Warriors and Paul George? Because I think that is the surprise. This sounds like the Lakers. This sounds like a LeBron team. You know what I'm saying? Where it's leading first take. Stephen A's got takes on it. Yeah. They're all going off about it. That's not been the way the Warriors have usually done business. And that's where we're at right now. Right now, it's the Paul George sweepstakes, right?
Can I, now that you phrase it that way, it's actually a little bit concerning to me. I think real quick point on the extra picks. I actually don't think those matter in this PG scenario, because I think if PG wants to be a Warrior, wants to be a Warrior. I think those matter in a scenario where you're trying to get Mikal Bridges or Lauri Markkanen, where you gotta just outbid other people. I don't think the Warriors have to outbid anyone if PG wants to be a Warrior. But to your point, it is a little concerning to me that the Warriors are number 1 in terms of talk. Now, part of that is because of the Warriors. It's Steph. It's going to do good for ratings. But as a Giants fan, I say again, it's concerning because it feels like, where I'm going with this. It feels like Paul George is saying, what is the team that's the most desperate? What is the team that is most realistic that I would go to that's on the West Coast? And what's the team that now I can use to go back and tell Steve Ballmer that I'm actually going to go to, and he's going to believe me and give me the max offer? Feels like they're being used when you phrase it that way.
I mean,
tell me no.
It's crossed my mind. It's crossed my mind a little bit. Like, let me take a step back for everyone listening right now. Paul George has until the 29th to exercise his option. That's Saturday night. As of right now, he is not. As of everything you're seeing, it seems like there's mutual interest there. But for it to happen, the Clippers have to actually play ball with the Warriors, which is why what the Warriors can trade matters. I don't know. Let me ask you this, Andy. What do you believe? What percentage chance do you believe that the Warriors can actually get Paul George next year?
So I think if Ballmer doesn't want to give him the max, I think he's a Warrior. But I think the chances that Ballmer ends up giving him the max is what, like 75%, 80%, and Paul George is going to be a Clipper if that's the case. But if you tell me Ballmer's not going to give him the max at all, I have a pretty good chance he could be a Warrior, man.
Do you think he'd be a good Warrior?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's a
Warrior.
he's a very good culture fit for the team.
Warrior. It's a perfect Warrior. You don't think so? How can
No,
you not?
I do. I'm trying to think back to the first question. I think I'm 50-50 still. Part of me feels like this is too easy, too much noise. Right. Usually these things don't happen publicly.
Right.
It does feel like because it's so public, it's a leverage play.
Yep.
In some ways. So that's not great. That's not great for the Warriors, that's for sure. Yep. But man, it's hard to imagine. Even though he's older, his game fits so perfectly with Steph and Draymond. You know, he's a wing. He can really shoot the ball. Can play off ball, can play on ball, can defend, can do a little bit of everything. It would be the perfect fit. I don't know. I've now like romanticized the thing too much in my head, so I'm just kind of more praying.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there really is no bad fit. The only bad thing is what players can you put around those guys. But I think you figure that out first. You go get Paul George and you figure that out, right? Like let's go have Steph, have PG as your secondary scorer, play off of Steph consistently. He's available. He was relatively healthy last season. Then you got Draymond. Like that's after that figured out. Okay, so maybe we'll cap off the PG stuff with this. I'll ask a question back to you. Is this trade gonna happen or not happen? PG gonna get maxed out? Is this gonna happen by the end of the week, or are we gonna wait for a while on this one?
No, we will know by Sunday at the latest.
Okay.
Because if he opts out, I don't think the Warriors can get him. I don't think they can get him in free agency. I think this deal's getting done probably Friday night or Saturday morning.
Okay. All right.
Or he's resigning, or he's going to go play for Philly.
Yeah.
But the Warriors window is now. Yeah. I don't think he wants to play for Philly. Have you listened to his quotes about like style of play, and I want to play in a system that makes sense, and I'll play in this? And he doesn't sound like a dude who wants to play with Embiid. He wants.
If he's saying that, it also tells me that he doesn't really want to play with James Harden, though. That's the interesting part. Now, maybe getting all that money and staying LA with his mom, right, and his family, like that's
sure.
Great.
That's home.
Against that. Yeah, can't argue against that. So maybe that matters more than the style stuff. But I mean, to your point about fit, yeah, I mean, the fit is great. Fit is perfect.
Let's start with the fact he's a podcaster. 2, he's had Draymond on his pod. He's had Clay. Do you know he was AAU teammates with Clay?
Does he help recruit Clay? Does he help bring Clay back for $15 a year?
Maybe, but like they go back a long way. Because the thing with PG is he's kind of like Clay, where he wasn't a top 5 prospect.
Yeah, Fresno,
and yeah, he was a late bloomer. He had a growth spurt when he joined the NBA, and they turned into the dude in year 2, year 3 that way. So he's like a little bit of a late bloomer. He's not one of those guys who was like anointed as a high schooler the way that like LeBron or KD are, right? Yeah. So he's got kind of like the Warrior background story, and you just hear him. He's like, he said his favorite teams when he was a kid are the Warriors and the Clippers. He's always just kind of talking up how Steph is the hardest player in the league to guard. It got like kind of the right type of disposition. Like the problem is you start watching these clips and you're just like, that's my guy. He needs to be on the team. I'm buying it so much, you know?
Yeah. I think it's going to go down to is Ballmer going to give him that max? And Ballmer's worth 9 bajillion times million bajillion dollars. So maybe Ballmer just says, fuck it. You played me. I'll pay you.
But maybe Ballmer's sitting here going, bro, I've paid you and Kawhi for 5 years. You've done nothing. Maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe I need to see what this Kuminga kid's got. Maybe I need to bring back Chris Paul leadership.
Well, he did trade away SGA. So maybe Bomber's sitting there and going, I kind of want – I can't even do it with a straight face. He's not good.
I can understand the Clippers wanting to shake it up because they've done nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about Paul George, but it's not like, let's be real. It's not like him and Kawhi have exactly accomplished anything. So,
yeah. God. All right. Wait, we got a lot of goons on the way. Before we get to the goons, we are the Light Years podcast and brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more, you pick less on 2 or more player stats for shot to win up to 100x your cash. PrizePicks $100 match on your first deposit. Use the promo code LightYears. PrizePicks, most fun I've had, winning up to 100x my money this basketball season, baseball season too. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. PrizePicks offers injury insurance so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players get injured this playoff season. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, PrizePicks will have your back and not count that as a loss. Download the app today. Use code LightYears for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today. Use code LightYears for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Layers Podcast. We are brought to you by Unified. Unified. Whether you are a world-class athlete or podcaster, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness center powered by the Energy Enhancement System. Whether you are here or in the Bay or hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the E-System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/lightyears to learn more. Find a center near you. That's unifydhealing.com/lightyears. No material or testimonials on the Unified website are intended to be viewed as a medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system. All right.
Let's get to it. All right. If you guys are watching on YouTube or on playback, to be fair, come over to playback. You can join the stream. Just hit the join stage button and we'll bring you up here. So let's go.
Go. That's some fun.
Bro, is it hot where you are right now?
Yes, 70 degrees, 75 earlier.
I'm sweating up a storm. Gio, what's up, man?
Good, how's it gonna go? Yeah, so my question is, right, like, otherwise actually willing to trade for Paul George, then extend him with a max contract? Like, if they weren't willing to trade for Siakam because they feared that he wanted a max contract, why now would they trade for Paul George and extend him?
Paul George is a significantly superior player.
Yeah, but dude, Siakam is 4 years younger, and then we did see him in Indiana. Like he's not like he's pretty skilled player for like he's 6'9".
What if I told you Steph was way higher on Paul George than Siakam?
And that's it.
That's my question, right? Did Steph like make the call?
Yes,
like,
I mean it's yes.
Did he actually like, hey, I want Paul George in this?
Yes.
Like he actually did something finally.
Well,
like,
no, I mean Steph once. I mean if you ask them, Steph want KD. Like I don't think it's a hey. I don't think the Warriors weren't going to try and get Paul George if Steph didn't say anything, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They were going to try to get Paul George.
It does. Yeah. Just superficially, the amount of effort they're putting into getting older stars, given the way Joe Lacob talks publicly, screams Steph Curry has a certain.
Yeah, that was my first thought. He was like, Steph actually say, guys, give me Paul George. Like, I want Paul in my team, get him on this team. Because this is the first time I've never seen this from the Warriors. Like I've never seen the Warriors like do this thing where they're in every single like rumor about one single player. Like I don't.
No, I
don't
agree.
know
I
if
agree
Paul
with you
did
there.
that.
Like, I think part of it is they were embarrassed last year. They underperformed. Look, man, didn't make the playoffs. They were embarrassing last year. You can't talk about how you're light years ahead, can't spend all that money and play like that. So like they did need to either get better or just do something. But second one, I think you're right. I really do believe Steph is asserting his voice.
I mean, finally, like I mean, that's all I want to see. That's all I want to see.
Always dooming. Man.
Not dooming, but like it's his team. Like he needs to like put his finger on the pulse at least once in a while, right? Like
patience.
Anyways,
Patience, my man. All right, Gio, appreciate you. Gio fake dooming always.
Gio's happy.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Well, since I've hopped on, it's been a traumatic season, and I felt like basketball was just not in my best interest, you know. So
Smart.
I wanted to survive school as well. But fortunately, I've been smoking more in my life, and I have gotten some copium with that joint. And you know what?
Weed or cigarettes? Weed or cigarettes?
Weed.
Stay off the seat. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, good.
Yeah. So let me just put it like this. I don't want to see Paul George on this team. He's too inconsistent. He's too old. And it's not only that he's too old, it's that he's big. It's one thing if you're old and you're 6'2" and you're a regular.
Ooh, we're getting connection issues.
Yeah,
we're getting connectivity issues. We're getting connectivity issues right now. We're going to have to come back up here. But, all right, Andy, what do you say to the Paul George is too old thing?
Fits right in.
I don't think he's too old. I think you need to be incredibly thoughtful with the rest of your roster. You know, you need to not put a 39-year-old Chris Paul around the rest of your roster. The rest of your roster needs to be guys who are, let's say, 25, 26. You gotta go find a Derek White. Go find a, I was just trying to think of someone I knew who was not 30 but not 20. So.
Also, the Warriors have like 2 years left. Who cares? Like Paul George probably has like 2 years left. They have 2 years left. I'm not looking for. I don't need a 28-year-old. If Paul George is 28 years old, there's no way he would be a Warrior. Like there's no chance. Don't you know what I mean? Part of the reason why this is an open discussion is because he is older and Bomber probably doesn't want to play in the max because of that, right? Like if he's 28, Bomber's maxing him out. We're not even.
No, but that's not even the question. Like the question is, can you win a title if you bring Paul George in?
I mean,
and my answer is, I think you can, but you need to be incredibly thoughtful.
What else are you
about the
gonna
other about the trade stuff?
They got I'm just saying they got 2 years left of Steph. Like Paul George being too old doesn't like if Paul George was 39, okay, I'm with you, but like 2 years. PG 2 years. That second half of that contract is gonna be disgusting, but whatever, who cares?
I don't even think it'll be that bad. The dude's huge and he can shoot. Like he might turn into just kind of a late career Dirk Nowitzki, but like he's still gonna hit shots.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's different when you're 6'10" and then when you're 6'4". You know what I'm saying? Like you lose athleticism, you can still post up and fade away consistently.
Yeah.
You lose athleticism at 6'2".
You talking about Steph?
No, I'm talking about Westbrook. I am holding. You like the hat? What's up, BJ?
What's up, guys? Long time no talk. Glad to see number 14th pick finally got drafted after all those trades. I feel like it went through like 6 or 7 different teams. It was crazy.
Right, yeah.
that journey of that pick. Yeah, so I have an observation and one question to ask.
Go for it.
I'll start off with a question. Would you rather keep Steph knowing that we won't win the championship, or trade Steph knowing that we would win a championship within the next 10 years?
Oh, come on.
Knowing?
Yeah, knowing.
Bye-bye, Steph. Sorry.
I mean, that's an unfair question. I argue the premise of that question. I
Realistic
argue
scenario. You know what I mean?
the reality of that actually happening. I argue.
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
That's the Boston
you have-
Celtics scenario. They traded KG and Paul Pierce, and everyone's like this kind of cold. And a decade later, they got it done in the lowest
Yeah.
rated finals of all time.
What? Hey, fuck the ratings if my team's winning a championship. So okay, I get what you're saying. Get what you're saying. That would require them to have the brains of Danny Ainge.
Gotta hit a lot of picks in a lot of things in a row.
Is Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens in my front office? Again, I question the validity of the reality of that happening. So, all right,
Keep moving. Appreciate you, BJ.
keep moving. We got like 20 people, so we gotta, guys. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. We gotta. We're trying to
We
get.
gotta move. We gotta
more
move pretty
people.
quick here. Here's Chase.
We love you. We love you guys.
I think my entire point with the PG thing is he's good enough that you can get back in the title conversation, and it requires you to make the correct moves in the margins. And maybe they don't. Maybe they screwed up. But like, there's a handful of players good enough to actually get you in that conversation, and that's all I need. Get me in the conversation, then figure it out. Chase,
Okay.
what's up?
What up? What up? Shout out to Prize Picks. I called it like a month ago or whenever when the Rudy Gobert hit that bullshit fadeaway to get the over. When I was like pretty fucked up and I thought I hit the under. So shout out the Frenchman for giving me like $40. One statement, two questions for you guys. I'll be quick. One, I think Dave Roberts at ESPN needs to get fired because that draft coverage thing was absolute dog shit. I think by pick 11,
No comment.
hey, this guy's 6'9" and has wingspan. Like, no shit. All right. There's like nothing of value. It was absolute garbage. I mean, yeah.
Dude, a guy named Bub Carrington got drafted for the Warriors pick. This is not a real human. Anyway.
In the trade scenarios, I saw some, I think you guys saw it too, like the Wiggins for Bobby Portis or like, Wiggins or JK being traded. I was just curious and like, where do you value Wiggins and JK's defense? I think like I try to keep like an open mind where like Wiggins is no longer 22 Wiggins defense, but I still think it's significantly better than JK's point of attack. And I don't know if JK will be able to guard like a top 2, top 3 playoff if they're to get Paul George, for example.
Okay.
Playoff player. So I just kind of want to know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good one because we didn't talk about Bobby Portis, which we should.
My guy, Bobby.
Second question is bare minimum trade. Like if the Paul George can't happen for whatever reason, like what is the type of players that you look for that would get you excited for the next year?
It's a good question.
All right.
Appreciate the question. Andy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Let me go backwards. So Deni Avdija was my guy. He got traded. So that's very depressing. That would have been the bare minimum for me. But I know the Warriors don't want to give up 2 picks for they only do it for Giannis. So they definitely weren't going to do it for Deni Avdija. And then the second or back to the first one, the Wiggins for Bobby Portis is just a salary dump. It reminds me of the Jordan Poole one where the Warriors are just going, this contract is freaking disgusting. We got to get off of it. Portis is it's fine. He's whatever.
Most space.
Yeah, exactly what he is, right? Energy, good, like maybe good vibes. I don't know. Crowd favorite, shoots, doesn't play any defense.
Might fight Draymond.
Might fight, which would be a good thing. Someone needs to. And it should be fun, but he's not going to be anything that you'd want long term or playing more than 25 minutes a game. So, and then I think secondly, the defense is. I mean, Wiggins. I mean, like theoretically, he's still a good. Like they kind of still need him. Like I'd rather keep Wiggins than Kuminga, but like then the salaries, all that stuff, you might need to get. So anyway, I don't think they can trade both of them away and not get a wing back, but. That's what the comes in, right? So, I don't know.
2 thoughts on the Wiggins Kuminga question. I'm going to say it right now. If either of them are on the roster next year, this summer was a failure in Steph and Draymond's eyes.
Either of them or both? Either of them?
Either of them.
Okay.
I think one of them is the key to a big time acquisition. Like Kuminga is going to be in any big trade you do. And I don't mean that in any other way than like, he's your most exciting young prospect, right? Like if you get Paul George, you're going to have to give up Kuminga. That's just reality, right? And then the other one is I think Wiggins just makes too much money. So if they're both, if either of them are back next year, that means they didn't make an acquisition that mattered. That's what it tells me.
Yeah.
That means they made a marginal trade where either they moved Kuminga for something small or they moved Wiggins' contract for something, but not like something substantial. So I think if either of them are back next year, it's a bad sign for the Warriors making rapid changes. In terms of his question, which is, where's my line? I'm going to go back to the last pod. Slater threw Kuzma out there. It's been in my head since then. Calling it the Kuzma line. If I do not see a player better than Kyle Kuzma brought in on this team, I'm going to be upset. That's my line. The Kyle Kuzma line.
The Wizards are fire selling. The Warriors are asking about Kuzma right now. So get it done.
I'm not saying that like I'm thrilled with that, but I'm just saying you asked me to set a line. That's my line.
I'd be thrilled.
The Kuzma line.
I'd be thrilled. Any line would be good. All right, let's go. Let's keep moving.
Paratosh, what's up?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Good reception today.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's I didn't want to call in at first because like I was just going to listen today, but since Andy mentioned the thing about PG trying to get a contract from Ballmer and using the Warriors for leverage. So first thing, this triggers my PTSD as a Manchester United fan because that's exactly what all soccer stars have done to my club for the last however many years. So okay, and based on that, maybe it's a cynic in me, but I feel like this Paul George thing is more like, have you guys seen the meme of like how to appear busy at work, just walk very fast everywhere? So it seems like, because I remember last trade deadline also, Paul, there was a lot of rumors that Warriors are definitely going to make a trade, and in the end it ended up being we like what we have. So like I'm like 40% sure at least that's what's going to happen. But finally, my question to you is Paul George the least or like the caliber of player for whom you would be okay giving up Clay? Because I don't know if you can keep both Clay and Paul George. But
this is a great question.
Yeah,
I love this question. Appreciate you, Paratosh. Okay, so we haven't discussed it, and we'll get into it in future episodes. Forget whether you can or can't. Are you comfortable losing Clay for Paul George?
I'm not.
Oh wow,
yeah.
I am.
But I'm waiting for you. Yeah, I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for
his question's a better one, which is who's the worst player you're comfortable letting Clay walk for?
Oh God,
I mean it's a tough one. I think it's below Paul George for me because Paul George is still top 20 player. Is Paul George top 20 player?
Is Paul George top 20? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, 20, 25. I'm sure.
I'm like, I don't feel like pulling at the rank. I'm not going Bill Simmons on everyone being like, hey, top 14. But he's
but 21, I think 21.
I mean, he's no longer a top 5 to 10 player, but I don't think there's 20.
He was never top 5.
He's pushing 10.
Indiana, yeah, okay, top 10. I'm with you. Is there a path that the Warriors can get Paul George and keep Clay?
Do they want to? I think
it'd be good vibes.
There is. I think we could discuss it another time, but my biggest concern with them doing both is they run out of any avenues to add guys who are under the age of 30. Just adding guys who are above average athletes. Yeah,
I think you're right. It hurts my heart to see Clay gone. That's all. So.
I do think Paul George is a good enough player that you can live with the tough decision. I think if it was for what's a disgusting option? Trying to think of like a really bad
like Zach LaVine, if they wanted to take on that contract for some reason.
I need to go lower than that.
You're saying Clay would be gone for this guy. You would be okay with, right?
You'd be okay with risking the fact that you'd lose Clay, basically. Like you make this acquisition, but there's a very realistic chance Clay won't come back. I don't know, man. There's a lot of players. Maybe my list is more expansive than yours. I'll leave it at that. Keep moving.
They still need Clay.
Do they?
Unless they figure out what else to get. Dude, the comments are freaking killing me tonight. Killing me. Let's go. Who's next?
Hey, sound off. It's fun.
Guru.
Hey guys, so it's been a fun couple of days, huh? Yeah, like so at the end of last month, my dad suffered a heart attack, and
Oh,
yeah, and
Sorry, man.
he's been recovering at home. But to say that this has given him a hop in his step has been an understatement. The last couple of days have been really really good, and we've been like talking about like the possibilities.
awesome.
That's what I wanted to bring up with you guys. Yeah. So I mean, if we get Paul George, right, what move is next? Right? I mean, we already brought up the Clay scenario. Do you take the extra money that you have and go to Clay? Do you trade Wiggins for a lesser contract to get the extra money to go and like convince Clay Thompson to come back, or do you get a wing defender like DeAnthony Melton with the mid level? I just wanted to see what you guys were thinking there because my dad and I were going back and forth, and I wanted you guys to be part of that conversation. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
First off, shout out to your dad. Hopefully, the recovery continues positively. Our thoughts are with him.
Yeah. Well, let me jump
you.
into it. Spend as much. I mean, same thing happened to my dad a few years back. Sam knows, but spend as much time as you can with him too, man. I think people don't do that enough. So, good for you. Good for him. Let's talk to Anthony Melton.
We love DeAnthony Melton on the show. I mean, the lame answer for you is tell me who's going out for Paul George, and then I will tell you how I want to shape the roster to fix it. I think in reality, they're probably going to need to get plus athletes because as good as Paul George is, he's the same age as Draymond. He's not moving the way he used to. So I would lean into let's see what they have to trade. Like if they have to give up Wiggins, maybe the move is looking for who's the best wing defender you can get to go with Steph and Paul George.
I got a name for you, Samuel. And
Yeah,
this is
what's
Guru too. I got a name for you. What's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope up to?
Ooh, it's in the chat right here. Someone threw it out here. I mean, that's like pie in the sky, right? Like, is there a better 3-and-D role player in the NBA than KCP?
I don't think he takes the MLE, but
I mean, I would love him.
I don't think Denver's paying him. I don't think Denver's paying him. It don't look like it, according to their GM. Who knows what he's doing?
How much would he get? 22 million, 23 million?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, you'd probably have to create some money for him.
Would you rather have?
That would be
KCP or Clay.
I would say KCP.
It's cold, but I don't think it's hard. I mean, I don't think you can argue it on a basketball sense.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm with Sam here. I don't think you get Paul George without giving up Kuminga. I think if you're not giving up Kuminga, you're playing a very dangerous game, and I think you only get one chance at this kind of a negotiation. So I think you just have to trade Kuminga and the Wiggins for Bobby Portis. I'm not that big of a fan of that deal. I think at that point you're trading Wiggins for a bag of chips, and I think that if you're going to do that, you might as well try to do that at the deadline. I don't know. I mean, again, it would depend on like how the Paul George thing goes.
They're just
and what else you get. Do you get
money.
KCP? Yeah. Right. If you get KCP, then I'm more willing to do that Wiggins trade. Yeah.
I wonder also if splitting up Wiggins into 2 shorter contracts is easier to make the next move. Like if that's the sort of thing where it's like,
that's true.
Look, no one wants him, but if we can turn him into a contract that's 1 year, 10 million, then all we have to do is attach a pick instead of currently we have to attach 4 picks to get rid of him. So I don't know. A lot of this stuff, like my takeaway on the Warriors offseason is they need more than one move. So it might be a lot of moving parts. It might be Wiggins moving here to get something to move there, to get something to move there. If you can't watch me, my hands are moving in all directions. So appreciate you, Guru. I really do. Thoughts, prayers with Dad.
Pops. Yep.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Much love. Brook Lopez is out there. Looks like he wants to get traded. Maybe you throw that into the Bobby Portis one. How about that one? People are throwing that one.
Yeah.
Brook. Slow, old. Perfect for the Warriors.
But high IQ can make a pass.
I do love Brook.
I mean, he's a good player.
I do love Brook. It's the perfect fit with Dre.
And with Steve Kerr, he's dork. So
Stanford guy. Man, come on.
Yeah. Kirk will love him. Kirk and Joe will love him. Go to
Oh my god!
go to
All right.
go to seminars at
Seminars.
Palo Alto.
Golly, Moscone Center. Conferences.
Oh, are we getting callers dropping off?
Do we got one more? Do we got one more? All right. I got Todd.
Maybe we don't.
I swear to God, if Duvall blows another fucking save.
All right, let's call on that, guys.
All
I
right.
appreciate it. We're going to be back tomorrow night. We're going to be doing this pretty much the rest of the way through. Appreciate everyone. Subscribe.